Welcome to this special class on Lighthall. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Emra. Nice to see students joining in. This is an IELTS speaking class, and we will be focusing on part 1, 2, and 3 of the IELTS speaking section, where I will be your examiner and I will conduct an interview with several of our viewers, and I will give you strategies and feedback for part 1, part 2, and part 3 of the speaking section. So this IELTS speaking, it will be a complete interview, and part 2 and part 3 will focus on inventions. Okay, inventions will be the topic of this class. So there will be lots of useful vocabulary and grammar that will help you to talk about inventions. Inventions are kind of like discoveries, except they're usually objects, like the invention of the computer or the automobile, the light bulb by Thomas Edison, the telephone by Alexander Graham Bell. So those kinds of inventions. And this lesson is presented to you, just like our YouTube classes, by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS, visit our website there, check out our premium package. It's well worth to join that package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. If you're learning for the general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. On both of those websites, you can get lots and lots of materials for your learning. And we have this special discount code for Lighthall. It's XR9T. So make sure to use that to get a 25% discount on our websites. Okay, Emra, I see you in the chat, and if I'm not mistaken, there's almost 80 people registered for this class right now. So hopefully we'll get more and more joining in as we're starting up. Hi, Krishna. How are you doing today? Emra, I'm just testing out our system. Lighthall is an amazing platform for live learning. It's real time. Abdul, I'm doing great. Now I can see more people joining in on the chat. Hi, Mal. Hi, Krishna. Wonderful. Students, to get all the best help for IELTS, definitely make sure that you also check out our apps on your app store. Academic IELTS Help for Academic IELTS. Get that app. There's lots of free materials, by the way, on the apps. Also, General IELTS Help app for General IELTS. Instagram, we have that too. And if you have questions, send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com and I will definitely get back to you. Okay. Emra says, wow, your time is 8 a.m. How do you gather energy to do these classes so early? Well, Emra, one word, sleep. I go to bed early, so I'm usually, when I have early classes, I'm in bed no later than 10 p.m. And I'm up early. If I have even earlier classes, I go to bed earlier. The trick, Emra, is make sure to get 8 hours of sleep, okay? And that's very important advice for your IELTS speaking section as well. Speaking requires great energy because it's real time, it's quick thinking, and you're using your eyes, your ears, your mouth. It requires a lot of energy. You're right, Emra. So tip number 1 for success on the speaking section is get good sleep. Okay. And one way to do that is to be prepared, Don't be nervous, and do something active. A couple days prior to your IELTS exam, go for a big hike, go swimming, be active, tire out your body so that your brain can rest at nighttime. Welcome, Carolina. Nice to have you here. All right. Okay, so again, we're using Lighthall. It's real time. Everybody should hear me and see me. If you don't see me, if you don't hear me, let me know. I think that problem might be for just some of you who have not enabled your cameras. So check it out on your end there. Okay, get familiar with Lighthall because we definitely plan to use it in the future. It seems like a really great piece of software, and it's growing very quickly with more and more teachers, not just for IELTS, but also for other subjects as well, like engineering, medicine, biology. So it's a great place to come and learn for sure online. Okay. All right, everybody. So let's get to the IELTS speaking section. IELTS speaking section has 3 parts. Part 1 of the speaking, okay, is questions, introduction, and general questions on hobbies, work, school, and so forth. That's part 1. Okay, that's usually kind of the easier part. And the goal of part 1 is to have you feel comfortable, build your confidence, build your fluency. So get you into the interview feeling strong going into part 2 and part 3. Part 2, you get questions. Okay. And questions, by questions, I mean like 5 to 6. Okay. Questions. And these are often W questions. Okay. Like who, when, where, why, what. Okay. All those W questions. On a specific topic about an object, place, person, idea, or an event. Okay, it's one of those. It will always fall more or less into one of those categories. And then part 3 will be specific questions related to the topic of part 2, which require you to think quickly in English and explain yourself. The big difference, and we haven't talked about this, but I'm going to mention this now. We haven't talked about this in our other live IELTS classes, but one of the big differences between part 3 and part 1 is the thinking part. Okay. Okay. So the big difference, take note of this because this is important to recognize and pay attention to. Big difference between part 1 and part 3 is that you don't really need to think much for part 1, but you do need to think for part 3. Okay, so what do I mean by this? For example, part 1, what is your job? You don't need to think about that, okay? If you don't have work, then you say, well, I'm not currently working because I'm in school right now. I'm studying to get into university. And that's a no thinker. That's a no brainer, right? So the English is kind of automatically coming and generated and you just say it. But in part 3, where the person might ask you, what are some of the most important inventions of the 20th century? There you're going to go, oh, okay, just a sec. Let me think about that. Well, I suppose the internet would be one of the key inventions of the 20th century. You actually have to stop and think. And this can be tricky because, of course, people tend to think in their own language. Okay. So it's really important that you practice thinking in English. Okay. So, what is your job for part one? We would call that a no brainer. It's an expression in English. But part three, when the examiner says, what is the most important invention of the 20th century? You would probably go, okay, well, let me think about that. Vaccines, probably a very important one aside from the internet as well. Okay. All right. So inventions of the 20th century. Okay. Thinking required. All right. Okay, students, so keep that in mind as we head into our speaking. So in the speaking interview, you should arrive to your exam center 1 hour before it starts. If you are doing the computer-based exam, same thing, okay? So whether you are doing face-to-face speaking interviews or computer based, okay, it's becoming more and more popular. You must arrive to the exam center 1 hour before so you can practice your English with other candidates who arrive early. Okay, now this is speaking, everyone. So just like in YouTube, I'd like you to speak and repeat. All right. Let's just go through a couple of the introductory questions so you start to get an idea of what's going on and you get focused on the lesson. Okay. And then we will get into speaking with our viewers. So you can use your audio and your camera. So if you're brave and you don't mind sharing your face like I do every day with other people in this class and online, then you can also enable your camera. Now, only do that if you have a good internet connection. So definitely a strong Wi-Fi or LAN connection. I'm using, by the way, Google Chrome for Lighthall. And it works fine. Okay, so this is just a side note. Using Chrome and probably Firefox will work really well as well. Those are the top browsers. And if you know this one, it's a very good browser as well. It's called Brave. Okay. So Chrome, Firefox, Brave, those are the best kinds of browsers in the world today. Okay. Emra says Opera is very good as well. Okay. Carolina says, I just got a pop-up that says get started. After I clicked it, it worked. Okay. Carolina says, I'm using Brave. All right. Yeah, Brave is a very powerful browser for sure. Okay. Let's get into this a little bit. Just the first one or two questions will begin with a bit of typing, and then we will do audio and hopefully some video. So I will invite people into the chat and we will do an audio video chat. And by the way, when you're doing the audio video practice with me, that's pretty much exactly like your IELTS speaking exam, especially on Lighthall, because Lighthall is real time. Okay, so let's do this. Here we go. So in the beginning, the examiner will ask you to sit down, say thank you, and then they will introduce the speaking section of the IELTS exam. While they are introducing the speaking section of the exam, remember to Give answers, explanations, examples for the questions. Speak in full sentences. Use the question in your answers. Use numbers in your answers. Okay? So, one more time. While the examiner is introducing the exam, think about answer, explanation, example. Okay? Also, think about using the question in your answer. Of course, if you can, paraphrase. Okay? Think about using numbers. Okay? Keep all of that in mind as the examiner. It's your last chance for that mental checklist. Okay? All right, so the examiner will say, welcome to the speaking section of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner for this part of the test. We are currently conducting this exam in Victoria, Canada. The time right now is 8:30 a.m. This is candidate number 11342289 and examiner number 7855. I'm recording this for clerical purposes. Now we shall begin. The speaking has 3 parts. I will give you instructions for each part. May I see your identification, please? So give me a nice full sentence for this one. And I can see that there are lots of people who all want to volunteer, which is fantastic. I will do that in just a moment. Okay, I will take volunteers. For now, just type your answer into the chat just to kind of get a feel for the IELTS speaking, and I can give you a little bit of feedback, and then we go into the volunteering with more gas, with more steam. Okay. All right. I mean, I can see we have people from all over the world, which is just awesome. Okay, so may I see your identification? A very polite way to answer this is gladly. Here is my passport that I have used to register for this exam. Please take a look. Okay, so repeat after me. Gladly. Here's my passport that I have used to register for this exam. Please take a look. Gladly is nice because it's polite. Okay. Another way. Anybody know another way to say gladly? By the way, we haven't talked about this. While you're thinking about that synonym, I'll read what Ravula has said. Ravula says, yes, certainly. Here's my passport, which I used for the registration of IELTS. Please take a look. Very nice. Urbi says, yeah, sure. This is my passport, which I used to register for this exam. Please have a look. I'm correcting your sentences real time, students. So pay attention to my corrections, okay? Abdul Rahman says, surely, here's my passport that I used to register a couple of weeks ago for this exam. Please have a look. A says, certainly, this is my passport. It's what I used to register. Please take a look. Very good. Has anybody come up with a synonym for gladly? Carolina says, certainly. Emra says, sincerely. Irby says, with pleasure. None of those are the closest synonyms. Another way to say gladly is happily. Okay, happily. Here's my passport that I have used to register for this exam. Please take a look. When you are glad, you're thankful, it also means that you're happy. So another way, and you probably don't use the word happy often in this way, but it's a great way to use it. It's a great word form. So happily, happily. Okay. Are you familiar with this? And using these kinds of words does impress the examiner. So I hope that not everybody will be saying happily, happily for the next half year in their IELTS exam. You want to use different words at different times, but this is a good word to learn, okay? So happily. Here is my passport that I have used to register for this exam. I have used to register is present perfect. Okay. Present perfect is great to show right at the start. Okay. Rabula says happily. I got it. And Carolinus and Emrys says emojis, happy faces, happily. Why is that good to use? Because it sets the mood, it sets the tone for your IELTS exam. And then the next question, of course, is what is your full name? So give your full name here, okay? So my given name is Thomas, and my surname is Edison. Please just call me Tom for short. Okay, so today's topic you will see is inventions. So I figured I would use the name of a famous inventor, Thomas Edison. And here we go. So my given name is Thomas, and my surname is Edison. Please just call me Tom for short. Now, notice this last part. Always say what you want to be called so that the examiner does not ask you that question. They know that you prepared and you just go on. Chetan says, my given name is Chetan and my surname is Mehta. You may call me by my first name, Chetan. Yeah. Students, just a quick note on this, you may call me. You may call me sounds like you're giving the examiner permission, okay? Which is okay. We do that in the real world sometimes. But when we're talking to someone in a position of respect, we usually say, please call me, okay? So something, you may call me Tom, okay? It's okay. So, yeah, sure, it's okay. But it is more natural to say, please call me Tom when you are speaking to a person in a position of respect, like teacher, examiner, boss, manager, okay? New friend. So if I meet a new friend or a person who I feel will potentially be my friend, I wouldn't really say, you may call me. I would say, please call me. Okay. It's more common. It's more modern as well. All right. Okay. Let's do one more and then we'll get into some speaking. So, very common question, where do you live? Okay. Now, when you hear this question, you should be immediately reminded of structure and detail. For instance, I live in a 2-bedroom detached house on the outskirts of Victoria in the suburbs. This is the capital city of British Columbia on the southern tip of Vancouver Island. I have lived there for most of my life. Okay, so that would be a nice full sentence answer to this question. Now, these questions shouldn't be a surprise, everybody, because on Lighthall, you can download the materials for the class, and I upload the speaking questions to the class. I did not mention this before, but you should see that. So keep that in mind, everybody. I'm just going to give you that note here. So the questions for this class are available for download in PDF format. There should be like resources or materials type function or button in your Lighthall, and you should find this PDF in there. It's let me just take a look here. The title is IELTS Speaking Inventions. Okay, so you should see that there. All right, so the questions for this class are available for download in PDF format. And I will always put those up. And in fact, as we do more and more classes on Lighthall, you're going to see more and more learning materials available for you for the IELTS exam. So you'll get lots of great resources in future classes to come. Okay. So back to this question again, repeat, where do you live? I live in a 2-bedroom detached house on the outskirts of Victoria in the suburbs. This is the capital city of British Columbia and on the southern tip of Vancouver Island. I have lived there for most of my life. Okay. The IELTS examiner, your mark, comes from fluency and coherence, grammatical range, and accuracy. Okay. Lexical resource, and pronunciation. Okay. The most important is fluency and coherence. You have to make sense. Okay. Then comes grammatical range and accuracy because grammar helps you to make sense. Okay. Then comes lexical resource because the more words you use, the more sense you can make, especially when you're paraphrasing. And lastly is pronunciation. It's kind of important, but not too important. If I can hear you and understand you, you can get a band 9. Okay. As long as I don't have to be like, huh? All right, so that's what your mark comes from. So to get those marks, when you have a question like, where do you live? Okay, then of course you want to clearly paint a picture, 2-bedroom detached house. All right, where is that house? On the outskirts of Victoria in the suburbs. Okay, detail, lexical resource, using the word suburbs. Okay, suburbs are on the outside of the city where you find a lot of the family homes. Okay, that's called the suburbs because it's suburban outside the urban area. The urban area is where you find a lot of the apartment buildings. Okay, and then just slightly more detail of where you find the city of Victoria. It's the capital of the province of British Columbia on the southern tip of Vancouver Island. And then I'm reflecting the question, where do you live? With present perfect, I have lived there most of my life. Okay. So this has all of the elements required for that band 9. Okay. And that's what you want to focus on. So build your fluency, coherence, grammatical range, accuracy, lexical resource, and pronunciation. All right. Kasturi says, I live in a 3-bedroom house in Kolkata and I have lived there since birth. So, Kasturi, you need to make sure that you use present perfect there to show experience over time. Okay. Here we go. So this is what Kasturi said. Now, Kasturi, we want to correct this. So you should say, and I have lived there since birth. Okay, that's the correct English. So use present perfect to indicate change or no change over time. Okay. All right. So we've got some good answers, and it's time to get into our speaking. This class, we're here for about another hour, which gives us lots of time to actually practice our speaking. So we are going to switch to some verbal communication right now with some audio. And I can see that there are a few different people who are looking to volunteer. So the way this works, okay, is I'm going to invite you, I'm going to send you an invitation. And as soon as I invite you, accept the invitation, and then we can start speaking. Okay, let me just kind of see who some of our first volunteers were. So Krishna is one of our first volunteers. Let me see if I can invite Krishna here. Okay, Krishna is still here. So make sure you hang in there so I can invite you. Okay, it's very important. Krishna, I'm sending you an invite. And if you have a good connection and if you don't mind, try to use video as well so we can see each other. That's always fun. We did that with the student in the last class, and that was really good. So Krishna, I just sent you an invite. Please accept the invite. I think I can invite like 3 or 4 people at the same time too. So we'll get that going in a bit. Krishna, are you there?
Hi, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Krishna?
I'm good, sir. Thank you for asking.
Awesome. Krishna, do you have video? Are you comfortable sharing video with us as well?
No, sir, I'm sorry. I'm having a stage fright, so
Stage fright. That's a nice vocabulary. Oh, either that or you're in your pajamas, right?
yes, I am.
Yeah, that's very honest. I was just kidding with that, but that's great. Good for you. Are you getting ready for bed, or is it? No, you must be. It's late where you are, right?
I'm ready, sir. I'm also
Yeah.
live in British Columbia, sir, in Richmond.
Oh, are you in British Columbia?
Yeah,
Oh, you're in the same province as me. So it's early morning for you. So you're still in the morning pajama mode
I
then.
am, sir.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay. And why are you taking the IELTS exam, Krishna? You're here in Canada in beautiful British Columbia. Why are you taking IELTS?
For my US visa, I'm planning to go there by this year or next year. Right now, I'm still in my two minds if I will stay in Canada or going to US.
I see. So you're doing the IELTS exam for a US visa, right?
I am, sir.
Okay. And may I ask, what are you doing in Canada?
I'm a postgraduate student, sir.
Okay. What are you studying?
Gerontological nursing. Um, yeah,
Okay.
gerontological nursing, sir.
If I'm not mistaken, that's nursing specializing with elderly people, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, let me help you a little bit with the IELTS exam. We'll get right into part one. And what's special about this Lighthall class is we will do a full part one so I can give you a lot of good feedback and all of our viewers can learn much about how to do part one. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. I am, sir.
Okay, so welcome to the speaking section of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner for this part of the test. May I see your identification?
Yes, certainly. Here is my passport that I have used to register a couple of weeks ago. Please have a look.
What is your full name?
My full name is Krishna Pan, but I usually go by Krishna, so please just call me that.
Okay, Krishna. For part one, I will ask you a couple of questions to get to know you better and some questions on a general topic. Where do you live?
I live in a four-story house with my parents and siblings. It is situated in the lower mainland region of British Columbia. I have lived there since last year.
Let's talk about fashion. What do you usually wear?
It depends. If I am staying at my house, I usually wear pajama, a white t-shirt, a pair of socks because it is comfortable to use on. On top of that, when I'm outside to meet my friends or colleagues, I usually wear my long floral dress. Just like 2 days ago, I wore my red floral dress because It is a chic style look.
What is your favorite piece of clothing?
As I mentioned earlier, I love to wear a floral dress because feel like I feel gorgeous, and this is a trendy setting styles nowadays.
Is fashion important in your country?
Absolutely. Fashion is vital in my country because it represents our history and it reflects the culture of our country.
How has fashion changed since you were a child?
Fashion has been changed 3 days ago um, in in my country, kids have no style. I usually wear that my parents want me to wear. Unlike today, I always keep up with the latest fashion style by um, seeing my favorite celebrities.
Where do you like to go for buying clothes?
I prefer to shop my clothes in an online. Oh, sorry. I prefer to shop my clothes in a physical store because it is convenient and I could choose the dress. I could choose the design, my perfect size, and my favorite color. In fact, I bought my floral dress in a department store.
If you could have any piece of clothing, what would it be and why?
If I had given a chance to choose any piece of clothing, it would be a pair of socks because, as I said earlier, my feet is sensitive to cold, so I often use it all the times.
That is the end of part one. We will now continue with part two. For part two, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these, think about your answers, and you can take notes in this 1 minute if you wish. Then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. I will tell you when to start, when to stop. Okay, Krishna, that was really good. Did you prepare before the class?
Just 10 minutes ago, I
Okay,
prepared my answer. Yeah.
I can tell, and that was good. This is where preparation is handy, and I can tell that you have been studying the right strategies. Have you been following our classes for a while?
Uh, just 2 weeks ago, sir. I
Two
really
weeks
love
ago.
your I really love your platform, by the way.
Okay,
I learned a
awesome.
lot.
That's great. Yeah, I can tell. I mean, your communication is quite good. So overall, Krishna, I think a lot of people are probably wondering, well, what band score is that? So that would be about a band score of 7.5 to 8. Okay. And if you are with some examiners, they might even give you a higher band score. I'm a little bit critical because there were a couple parts that were a bit off for an 8.5. 8.5 and 9 are extremely high scores, and everybody should know that a band 8 to band 9 is more than just somebody who sounds like a native speaker. It's somebody who is communicating extremely well with extreme precision. So very, very few mistakes. You had really good content, Krishna. You had really good range of grammar. You had really good vocabulary. Where you're losing marks a little bit is your grammar accuracy. There were a few places that were a little bit off with plural singulars, some missing words. So let me go back and let me just review and give you some feedback, okay? So your introduction was very strong. I can tell that you have lots of experience with English. And of course, you're living in Canada right now. So every day is lesson with native speakers, right?
Yes.
That's very helpful, right? I'm sure it is. Okay, so your fluency and coherence. Fluency score would be a 9. Coherence score would be about a 7. Grammatical range would be a 9. Accuracy would be a 7. Lexical resource would be an 8. Pronunciation would be a 9 for most of your words, but then like a 6 for a couple words. There were a couple words where I was like, what did you say there? I wasn't 100% sure. Maybe it's the connection, but it's okay. All right. Let me go through a couple of these questions in a bit of detail, okay? And I'll explain what you did really well and what you need to improve. So you said, I live in a 4-story house with my parents and my siblings. I have lived in British Columbia for the past year. That was really good, okay? I said, let's talk about fashion. What do you usually wear? And you said, it depends. Now, that's a tricky one because if you say it depends, you can get yourself in trouble. But you did a good job. You didn't have any problems. You said it depends. If I'm staying at my house, I usually wear, and you said pajamas. That was really good. You used a conditional. Now here you said on top of that, if I'm with my friends. So on top of that is a good expression, but not in this situation. Okay. Let me teach this to you and everybody else so you're clear on that. On top of that means furthermore. It means furthermore or in addition. Okay. So if I say a sentence like this, Krishna, I like to wear expensive shoes. On top of that, I wear shoes which used to belong to celebrities. Okay, so in this sentence, it would be accurate. Okay, can you repeat this after me, Krishna? I like to wear expensive shoes. On top of that, I wear shoes which used to belong to celebrities.
I like to wear expensive shoes. On top of that, I wear shoes which used to belong to celebrities.
Okay, however, in your sentence, that's not what you're telling me because you're telling me that on one hand, if I'm at home, I wear comfortable casual clothes, and you're giving me an opposition. However, if I'm out with friends, then I wear more formal dress or different types of clothing, such as floral dress. Okay. So
Mm,
here, your connective is not a furthermore, but it's a however.
okay,
Okay. And
got it.
that's why a native ear will catch that immediately. Okay. So here in this one, you would want to say something like at home, I like to wear my pajamas because they are comfy. But, or however, but when I'm out with friends, I get dressed up in nice blouse and skirt. Okay. So it's a but there. Okay. So just repeat after me. At home, I like to wear my pajamas because they are comfy, but when I'm out with friends, I get dressed up in a nice blouse and skirt.
At home, I like to wear my pajamas because they are comfy. But when I'm out with my friends, I get dressed up in a nice blouse and skirt.
Yeah, so that kind of a small mistake, it's not the end of the world, but for a band 9, you can't make that kind of a mistake. So that's band 9s are very picky, but you'll get there. You're in an English speaking country and it sounds like you're going to
Yes.
the US. If you go to the US, are you planning to stay on the West Coast? Like will you stay in Washington, California, Oregon, or are you going to
Um,
some other?
sir, I got already the job offer in um I forgot the name. It's near in the Ontario part. Where is that?
Okay, so is it Michigan, New York, that
Um,
area? In the US, they're English, and so
forgot.
you're that's okay. So you're going to the East Coast, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, Northeast Coast, the English is not much different than the West Coast. So when you get there, you're going to hear their English is a little bit different. You'll hear some different words, a slightly different accent, but East Coast, West Coast English in North America, they're very, very similar. It's kind of the English that you hear in most movies. Most of the movies, Hollywood movies, movies in New York, they sound very similar. New York has a kind of a special accent in some parts, but West Coast is very similar. If you go to the south part of the US, for example, like Texas, Arizona, there you would hear a very different style of English, or even in central US. But no, you're okay. All right. So Krishna, pay attention to details. You don't need to speak as fast. Okay, so you can slow down it a little bit. I loved how you used some very good strategies, like what is your favorite piece of clothing? You said, as I mentioned earlier, so you made a good connection there. And you said, I love to wear a floral dress. I look gorgeous in it. And then you use the floral dress, I think, in one or two other places as well. Yeah. And I said, where do you like to go for buying clothes? You said, I bought my floral dress there. And that was really good. That floral dress really helped me to picture you in this dress with a flower pattern. And it really brought together your part one into a nice conversation. So that was very clever of you to use the same kind of example in multiple locations. And also that correction. You said, I prefer to shop my clothes online. And then you said, oh, sorry, in a physical store. That was a good correction. We don't say, I prefer to shop my clothes. I prefer to shop for my clothes online. That's a very important little for. Okay.
Okay, sir. Yes.
Right. So just repeat after me. I prefer to shop for my clothes online.
I prefer to shop for my clothes online. I
Oh,
bought my
sorry. I
clothes.
mean in physical store.
Okay. I prefer to shop for my clothes online. Oh, sorry, in a physical store. I bought my floral dress in department store.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, and live it, Krishna. So don't be like, oh, sorry, and blah, blah, blah. Just be like, oh, sorry. I mean to say, be that Canadian, right? You know what I'm
Yes.
talking about. You know what I'm talking about because Canadians do that all the time. Like, oh, sorry. I mean this, right? So we
Okay,
love our
sir.
sorries. Okay. All right. Krishna, keep up the good practice. I wish you all the best in your graduate studies and in your plans. I hope you stay in Canada. We need smart people like you. US, they already have enough people. Stay here, stay with us.
All right. Thank you, sir. I
Okay.
will.
Bye, Krista. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
Okay, so that was Krishna. Krishna, I'm just going to mute your microphone there, but you can hang in there. I'll keep your invite. And then once you're done, once you've had enough of me, you can just exit. I still haven't figured out how to disconnect people. Well, maybe remove from call. Okay, there we go. And then we'll go on. Okay. All right. Okay, everyone. So that was Krishna. Maybe give Krishna a thumbs up if you can with the emojis, or just say good job like Carolina just did, because Krishna, put herself out there. She's up in the morning with me here in British Columbia, and she's still in her pajamas, but she's already practicing for her English, maximizing her score for the IELTS, which of course opens up doors. Okay. Tran says, sir, can I join? I'm going to bed. It's 11 p.m. Tran, don't put on your pajamas yet. Maybe we can see each other. I'm going to try to reach out to you. Okay, Tran? So I'll reach out all the way to the other side of the world. Tran, I'm going to send you an invite. Okay. And accept the invite, and yeah, stay in your day clothes, people. Don't go into your pajamas yet, or get out of your pajamas if you're waking up right now, which probably won't be many of you. And then maybe we can do a bit of video as well, so people don't just see my face the whole time, but they get to see some other faces as well. Okay, Tran, I sent you an invite. I'm not sure if you got it. Check it out. Oh, there you are. Okay. Your microphone is not. Yep, there you are. Hi,
Hi,
Tran.
sir.
How are you?
I'm both excited and nervous because it's my first time to attend your class.
That's exciting. Tran, do you want to use your camera? I think you have a sticker on it.
Yes. Oh, yes, I forgot because I haven't wear any such on my body because
Okay.
it's
Is it really
hot
hot?
and
Yeah. That's what I was going to guess. It's really hot. Are you in Vietnam?
yes, I'm in Vietnam in Ho Chi Minh City, which is the second largest capital.
It's a big city. All right. Well, then keep the sticker on the camera, definitely. And when you go to the IELTS exam, make sure to put a shirt on, okay?
Yes.
That was a joke, Trent. That was a joke, just to try to get you to relax, okay? So be calm, be confident, okay? All right. By the way, students, I haven't talked about this much, but when you go to your IELTS exam, students ask me before, like, what should I wear, right? Like, what should I wear to my IELTS exam? Wear comfortable clothing. So, Trent, when you go to your IELTS exam, dress nice, but don't put on like a suit or a necktie. The examiner doesn't expect you to have a necktie on. Just a comfortable shirt where you feel good and you don't get too hot and it's not distracting you from what you're doing, right? Okay. All right. So, Trent, we're going to do part 2, and we're going to do this together a little bit. So I'm going to help you with this. Okay. Ready to do it with me? Yeah.
Yes, can I have 1 minute to repair it?
Yeah, you're going to have more time because we're going to do this one together. Okay. So you and me are going to work on this together. Okay. So here's part 2. Here's the cue card. I'm just going to highlight it. Everybody can see it. Okay. So this is talk about a famous invention. And the first step, Trent, is just to read it. So read this with me. Actually, can you read it for us, Trent? So read from talk about a famous invention.
Yes. With the question, right?
Yeah, just read the question.
Part 2, talk about a famous invention. You should say what is the invention is and how it was, who invented it and when. Why is this invention important?
Okay, good. So talk about a famous invention. So we're talking about an object here, right, Trent?
Yes.
All right.
Sir,
Because most inventions are objects, right? Like cars, computers, right?
what if I'm described about the invention which is not related to some famous person? It can be some of my friends, but is
You will get a low mark.
oh okay.
Okay, because the question says famous invention. Famous is a part of the question. It's an important part of the question. If you talk about an invention that your friend invented and it's not really famous, people don't know about it. Two problems. One, it's difficult to understand because we don't know about it, right? It's new information for your listener. It's easier for me to understand if you talk about the invention of the car because I know about the car, right? But if you talk about a completely new invention of your friends, then it will be much more difficult to tell me about it in English. So that's the first problem. And the second problem is you're not answering the card. So you have to answer the card. That's a good question, Tran. Okay. So here we're talking about an object. Tran, when you talk about an object, you have to tell a person, first of all, its origin. So where does it come from? Okay. And then you have to talk about its appearance. What does it look like? Okay. And then you have to talk about its function. So how is it used? Okay. And then you can talk about your experience and its value. Okay. So as long as you keep that in mind, Tran, you're going to be okay. Now, the next step, as what you started doing already, is to think about some ideas. Okay. So 2 to 3 ideas. So, Tran, what are some famous inventions?
A famous invention is the ATM machine, which
ATM
was
machine. Hmm.
yes,
Keep it simple. ATM machine. Give me another one.
um, gasoline saving system for motorbike.
Okay, so let's just keep it simple. So combustion engine,
Um, a plane, which is yeah,
airplane. Yeah,
airplane. Yeah.
keep it simple. Airplane. Sure. So ATM machine, combustion engine, airplane. All right. Okay. Good. So let's just choose one here. Let's go with the ATM machine. Sure. I don't know much about it, but do you know lots about the ATM machine, Tran?
Yes, it's a
Okay.
very popular machine in my country when I can easily catch my eyes on it, which is located near a big, a big different name of bank.
Okay, let's stop for 1 second before we jump ahead. Okay, we need to think a little bit about the notes and about what we're going to say. So, the ATM machine. What's the origin? Where does the ATM machine come from? Who invented it?
The person who created this ATM is, was Đỗ Đức Cường.
Okay, I'm just going to. I don't know who invented it, so I'm going to go simple here, and I'm going to say John Smith. Okay, now, no offense to the person who invented the ATM machine, but I'm going to say John Smith. And Tran, the reason I'm saying that is because the IELTS, you don't have to say the truth. Okay, so the IELTS examiner is not going to investigate who actually invented the ATM machine. All right, so you can make up a name if you don't know it. I'm kind of teaching everybody by this. Okay. And I can see that you typed it into the chat for everybody. But again, you don't need the truth. Okay, this is an important point here for everyone. So you can say that the ATM machine was invented by John Smith. When?
In the late 2000, since he found that every people was struggling about receiving money from bank.
Yeah. So let's say in the late 20th century. Sure. Okay, so that's the origin of the ATM machine. What does it look like?
In my opinion, it looks like a small telephone booth whose size is 1.2 meter tall and 0.5 wide.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so it's like a small telephone booth. It's about 1.1.5 meters, I would say, 1.5 meters tall, half meters tall, and 0.75 meters wide. It has a small screen, right?
Yes, it look like standard laptop, which is widely used by college students.
Yeah, keep it simple. And number keys, kind of like a computer, right? Okay.
Yes,
All right. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves here, what does ATM mean? What is the definition of ATM? It's automatic teller machine, right? So, automatic teller machine, ATM, right? That's why we usually don't even say machine because it's like saying machine, machine. So, automatic teller machine, machine. So, instead, we just say ATM, automatic teller machine. Okay. All right. So, the appearance, its function, how do you use it?
Firstly, we must have debit card, which is cited from the original bank. Secondly, we put the card in the insert hole, and next we have to cite our code and our name.
Mhm.
Before receiving money, we have to keep our eyes on the scanning systems so that the machine will realize if it's a real person or not. And lastly, we receive the bill and then money at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wrote down what you said. I just simplified a little bit. So firstly, we must have a debit card, which is given by the bank. Put the card in the slot, enter a secret number, and withdraw or deposit a certain amount of money. And of course, we need money on our bank account. We always forget that important part, right?
Yes.
So we must have a debit card, which is given by the bank, and money in our bank account. Well, I mean, if you don't have money in your bank account, then you can still deposit money, right? Okay, so that's the function. Sure, we're going to keep it simple. So that's the function. And what's the value? So why is an ATM valuable to society? Okay.
Because I believe that it does not only help people to withdraw their money from their bank, but is also um, perfect defensive systems against criminals, since it since the rate of criminals has been rising dramatically in my country.
Okay, so let's say it both allows people to use their money in the bank 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, and decreases bank burglaries. Bank burglaries. Sure. Also, I would say it allows more locations, right?
Yes.
It allows more locations to access money. That's a big part of it, right? So I haven't been to Vietnam, but I've been close. I've been in Thailand, and some of those very small islands around Thailand, like Koh Tao, Koh Phangan, they don't really have banks because they're so small, but they have ATMs, so they can keep money on the island that way and allow people to access more money. So I think Vietnam is kind of the same, right? You have small towns, small villages where you might not have banks, but you can still
Yes.
have these ATMs, which makes it easy to access. Now, why is that good? So, Tran, let's really be creative here. And this is for everybody, right? So, Kasturi, Irby, Amrit, I'm looking at a lot of people who are in the chat. Why is it good to have ATMs? So, I want everybody to focus and use their critical thinking here. Why is it good that people can access money 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in more locations? Why is that a good opportunity? So Amrit says in case of emergencies. So yeah, I absolutely agree. It can be useful in case of emergencies. Okay, sure. What else? Chetan says it saves time. Yeah, you don't need to go to the bank, right? And also cash flow to stimulate the economy. It encourages people to spend money, which helps to keep money moving, right? So that's another reason that it's very useful, Trent. Okay, Trent, have you used an ATM recently?
Well, honestly speaking, um, the last time I used the ATM machine was just about 5 years ago. Um,
Okay. That's
because
very honest.
yeah,
Don't tell the examiner that if you're talking about an important invention and you choose the
oh yeah,
ATM. Okay. So again, just like John Smith say, in fact, I used the ATM this morning. Okay. To take out 1,000 dong. I don't know how to spell that, but I think it's like that. 1,000 dong. Right? Vietnamese dong. I take out 1,000 dong to grab a cab and come to this exam center. Okay, so that's a personal example. Okay, good. So we have all the pieces here now for a good part two response. Okay. And we want to make sure that we're looking. Don't go anywhere, Trent. I see that you muted the mic, but you're going to speak here, so don't go too far. So you want to look at the part 2 cue card. Okay. What is the invention? How does it work? Okay, we're answering that. Who invented it? When? We're answering that. And why is it important? We're answering that. Now, before we get started on our part 2 answer, we want to have our first sentence ready. Okay. So Trent, can you give me your first sentence based on this card? Talk about a famous invention.
Yes. Could you please repeat again?
Yeah. So when you're getting ready for the 1 minute in the 1 minute preparation time, you really want to prepare your first sentence so that when the examiner says, okay, your time is up, please begin speaking, you're ready to go. And to prepare that first sentence, you want to use this topic sentence. Okay. So talk about a famous invention. So can you give me your first sentence using this talk about a famous invention?
Yes. I would like to describe about famous in invention which I'm usually witnessed on the street is ATM machine, which called um, automatic
Automatic teller machine.
teller machine. Yes.
Okay, not bad. Couple of small mistakes there, but that's okay. Don't say I would like to describe about. Okay, let's not use that part. Just because you just want to start. So let's do it like this. A very popular 20th century invention is the ATM, also known as an automatic teller machine. Okay. And then you just put it all together. Okay. So let's do this. So all I want you to do here is just put this all together. And I'm going to highlight the parts that I would like you to read or say. Okay. And I'm going to say it first, and then I want you to just kind of copy what I'm saying. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm almost there. And notice how here, all I'm doing for this strategy is I know that I'm talking about an object. So I'm going through the origin, appearance, function, and utility. And I've basically answered the card at a band 9 level. Okay, so here we go. Part 2, talk about a famous invention. What is the invention and how it works? Who invented it and when? Why is this invention important? Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking. A very popular 20th century invention is the ATM, also known as the automatic teller machine. The ATM was invented by John Smith in the late 20th century, around 1975. It looks like a small telephone booth, 1.5 meters tall and 0.75 meters wide. It has a small screen for information and some number keys, kind of like a computer. First, we must have a debit card, which is given by a bank, and then money in our bank account. We put the card in the slot, enter a secret number code, and then withdraw or deposit certain amounts of money. This allows people both to use their money in the bank 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, and then decreases bank burglaries because people do not have to carry around a lot of money at the same time. Like in my wallet, I don't have more than $20. If I need more money, I just use the ATM. Also, it allows for more locations for people to access money, like around small towns in Vietnam. This is useful in case of emergencies if people need cash on hand. It saves time. People don't have to go to the bank, and it increases cash flow. People use more money, they spend more money, So it stimulates the economy. In fact, I used an ATM this morning. I took out about 1,000 Vietnamese dong to grab a cab and come to this exam center because the cab driver only accepted cash. Your time is up. Now we will go to part 3. Tran, ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, then your 1 minute preparation time is up. Just follow with the green, but you can also add a little bit of detail like I did. And whenever you're ready, begin. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
Yes. A very popular later 20th century invention is the ATM, also known as an automatic teller machine. The ATM machine was invented by well-known John Smith, whose knowledge was outstanding from the other inventor in the earlier 20th century. The ATM machine looks like a small telephone booth and is 1.5 meter tall and 0.75 meter wide. It has a small screen for information and number keys, kind of a computer, but it contains limited keys. Firstly, we must have a debit card which is given by the bank and money in our bank account. Secondly, put the card in the slot and enter a secret number code and withdraw or deposit a certain amount of money. The reason why the ATM machine is so popular and useful is because that it both allows people to use their money in the bank 24 hours a day and 7 days a week and decrease bank burglaries. Moreover, it allows for more locations to access money, useful in case of emergencies, saving time, cash flow to stimulate the economy. Uh, in my personal thinking, I usually use the ATM to take my money to pay for both food and gasoline rice to come to
Okay.
my university.
Okay, your time is up. I will stop you there. And now we will continue with part 3. Please put the note paper and the pen to the side, turn it over, and now I will ask you some questions related to the topic of part 2. Okay, Tran, that was really good. All right. Now, that would probably get you about a band 5 to 6 if you say it at that speed. You need to increase your speed, which will come with lots of practice. But if you said that faster, what you just did, you would get a band 8 for sure. So the only place where you're losing band scores right now, Tran, is your fluency. You want to improve your fluency so that you can say this kind of information quickly, okay?
So,
Tran, your mic keeps cutting in and out or you keep turning it off, but that's okay. Are you still there with me?
yes,
Okay, awesome. Tran, that was really good. Thank you so much. And thank you for teaching us a little bit about the ATM. So that was very, very good. Keep up the good studies and keep practicing lots, okay?
yes, thank you for your comments, sir. I appreciate it.
You are very, very welcome, Tran. All right, so we're going to go to part 3 and we will now take another volunteer for part 3. So let's see who else is in here. Now, Tran, when you're ready, you can just exit out of the chat and we'll take somebody for part 3 here. Okay, so part 1, we've covered a lot of information. Part 2, we've covered a lot of information. And hopefully, many of you also practiced while I was showing you the steps for part 2. So you can practice this talking about a car, talking about an airplane, as Tran said. So lots of famous inventions, especially over the past 100 years. Technology has been advancing very, very quickly. Okay, so let me just see who else is in here. Chetan, I've got you on my radar. Don't worry. We'll take a couple of more volunteers for this class. Okay. All right. Let's see who's in here. Okay. Yeah, Chetan, if you'd like to volunteer, sure. I can see you've mentioned it a couple of times. Let me invite you. Okay. Now, students, you can talk to each other as well. So maybe we'll do a little bit of that soon here. All right. I'm going to send an invite out. Chetan, I just sent you an invite. So if you see my invite, click that invite and join in on the fun for part 3. And then I will give you more skills and practice as we go through part 3 and we talk to Chetan. Hi, Chetan.
Hello, Adrian. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good to have you back and you sharing your camera with us again, which is fantastic. We get to see you.
Yes, last time also I just used the camera, and you said the rest of the guys that you can also use the camera.
Absolutely, it makes it even a bit more fun. So yeah, and I just realized I'm kind of like a Canadian version of you. We both have the same mustache beard kind of thing going on. The hairstyle is even, so it's kind of fun. We get to see that.
Maybe. Yes,
All right.
it's my wish to come to Canada, so I am following the same physique.
Nice. You got the right style for the Canadian look, right? For
So,
the
yes.
West Coast look. All right. Okay, Chetan, let's do this. Let's get into part 3.
Yes, sure.
Okay, so remember part 2, we just talked about the ATM machine. Now for part 3, a really good strategy is to connect your part 2 answer. So if you can make a connection to the ATM machine in your answer, that's a really good strategy, okay? So as I'm asking you these questions, try to do that, okay? So try to connect with the ATM machine, okay?
I will try my level best.
Okay. All right. So that is the end of part 2. We will now continue with part 3. For part 3, I will ask you more questions related to the topic of part 2. Let's discuss modern technology. In your opinion, is technology making people's lives easier? Why or why not?
Well, in my opinion, technology usually makes the people's life easier because uh, with the help of technology, we get our work done very easily and without doing certain amount of work, we can get our job done because the technology or the machines that are made are generally made to reduce the work of people.
What are some important technological developments for the future?
I'm not really sure about it, but the technological developments coming in the near future must be very good and will help the people a lot more in their lives and make their work even more easy.
What kinds of modern technology do people rely on in their daily life?
The technology people use in their daily lives is mostly the internet and the mobile phones because in today's world the mobiles and the internet are very basic necessities, as everything is mostly connected to the internet. It might be your banking, or you can say it can be your studies, or whatever concern to the daily lives of people is mostly connected to the internet. And you can even shop your anything from the internet these days. So yes, internet is making daily life very easy.
Okay. So that is part 3, and we can go on to more questions. You see, I have another set here. Let's talk about scientific discovery, but we'll save that for somebody else, Chetan. I want to give you a bit of feedback on what you were doing there. I think you have good English, and I think your answers are okay. I think you need to make your answers better. So remember what I said at the beginning, connect to part 2 if you can, but you didn't really connect to part 2. I didn't hear anything about the ATM machine. And you can do that. Let me show you how. Okay. So, in your opinion, is technology making people's lives easier? Why or why not? And you said, well, in my opinion, by the way, you used the question really well. That was good. It says, well, in my opinion, technology usually makes people's lives easier. With technology, we get our work done easily. So you said easier and then easily. It's kind of just repeating, right? Easy, easier, easily. Same, same, same. You need to explain it differently. How can we do that, students? So instead of saying with technology, we get our work done easily, how can we explain that a little bit better? So what can we say instead of easily? Let me see what's going on in the chat. Make sure you're still paying attention, everybody. I'm still paying attention to you. So, okay. Krishna says convenient. Yeah, convenient is okay, but convenient is still just kind of a synonym of easily. So, easily,
Uh,
convenient, they're kind of the same. Convenient isn't
it,
the
it,
best word. We can use
it could
something a
have
little
been
better.
efficiently.
Yeah, so Irby says effortlessly, right? With less energy. Energy is measurable. So, with less energy would be right. Okay. And with less energy and with less time, right? So less energy and less time. Okay. Done faster and using less energy.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that would be a much clearer kind of explanation. Now, Chetan, the ATM machine, you need cash, right?
Yes.
Everybody needs cash. Okay. ATM machine. Does it help me to get my banking done faster if I need cash
Yes, I can tell that.
and easier? Can you
Uh,
give me a
shall I,
sentence?
shall I get the answer from the starting again? Shall I speak it up again?
Yeah, almost, almost. Just right now, just give me the example. So talk about the ATM machine. Finish this answer with the ATM machine. So just the ATM
Okay.
machine part. Okay.
Uh, like I mentioned earlier, the ATM machine, it helps us with with saving. It helps us in saving time, and we don't need to rush to the bank to get some amount of cash. Stand in the queue. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, much better, right?
I thought you were gonna write $10,000.
That's the way to think. Let's just go with $1 million. Right?
Oh
I'm
my
doing
God.
Austin Powers there for you.
I,
So
I would love to get $1 million like that.
you never know. I had a
Oh my
student one
ATM.
time. I had a student one time here in Canada who I don't know how it happened, but the bank accidentally put $1 million in his bank account. He had to give it
Oh my
back,
God.
but they
Oh
accidentally
my God.
transferred $1 million into his account. If that happens, don't take it out. Wait a day because they usually know that it happens. All right. All right. So that's how you use part 2. Okay. That's how you use part 2. So
Yes.
let's do this question one more time. Let's do a little bit of repetition here. So
Okay,
in your opinion, is technology making people's lives easier? Well, in my opinion, technology usually makes people's lives easier. With technology, we get our work done faster and using less energy. Like I mentioned earlier, the ATM machine, it helps us in saving time to get cash. We don't need to drive to a bank and stand in a queue for an hour to get 10,000 rupees. Chetan, in your opinion, is technology making people's lives easier?
Yes, exactly. The technology we are using today makes our life much easier than it used to be a few decades ago because at that time we didn't had the convenience to stay at home and use the internet or our mobile phone to transfer a certain amount of money to someone else. And even if you look at the ATM machines, there were no ATM machines in the past, and people usually had to go to the bank and get a certain amount of money for their daily needs. But today, with the use of ATM machines, anyone can go to an ATM machine and get a certain amount of money. But the
Stop,
condition is
stop,
he
stop,
needs
stop.
it to be in his bank account.
Chetan, it's important to know when to stop. So when you said, the part about now we have ATM machines, which make it very convenient, you can just stop there because you already told me in part two all the information. So as your listener, I know what you mean now because you already told that to me in part two. So even just mentioning the ATM,
Yeah,
like I said with the ATM in part two,
actually,
is enough.
I didn't connect with that part. Sorry.
But it was good. No, it was good. You didn't connect directly, like you didn't say as I mentioned, but that doesn't matter because as soon as you say ATM, I'm making the connection as your examiner because I know that's what you talked about in part two. So you don't even have to
Yes.
say as I mentioned. You can just say like the ATM machine, and I know that you're talking about your part two response. Okay.
Actually, I was listening to a video of yours today on the YouTube, and it was some girl from Kolkata. It was a Band 9 interview, and in that interview, you just told in the learning part that she was using or connecting the points of part 2 with the third section of this speaking interview.
Exactly, exactly. All right, Chetan, thank you so much for volunteering again and for sharing your video feed with us also. That's awesome. Okay. Keep in the class
Very
and I'll see you in future classes as well. Thank you.
okay. Thank you, Ajay. Very nice to meet you again.
Bye, Chetan.
Bye. Bye bye.
Okay, so that was Chetan. That was really good. Give Chetan a thumbs up, everybody. All right, let me take another volunteer. So I'm really getting into it. I hope you are too. Let's finish off this speaking. Anybody else want to volunteer? Let me check our chat. What's going on in here? So lots of great tips. I hope you're picking up lots of. By the way, second answer with Chetan, that was a lot better. Okay. So that was much better. That was much more accurate. Let's see if anybody else is here who wants to volunteer. If you still want to volunteer, maybe send me a message in the chat right now and say, hey, I want to try this, or I want to try the last couple of questions. The last few questions will be, let's see, let me bring that up for you. Will be, let's talk about scientific discovery. So it will be scientific discoveries, kind of similar to inventions. The difference between an invention and a discovery, by the way, anybody know what that is? So let me ask that before we find our volunteer. I mean, it says maybe another day. Here's my question. What is the difference between an invention and a discovery? What's the difference? Can anybody tell me? An invention is but a discovery is there's a difference. Yeah, very good. Emra says a discovery is recognizing something that already existed. So a discovery is recognizing new information that already existed, like discovering gravity. Okay. So discovering the theory of gravity. An invention is a new object or idea that has never before existed. Okay, that's the big difference. Yeah, very good, Zarina. So when we discover, we recognize that, hey, like discovering a new type of animal or insect. An invention is like inventing the telephone, right? Never existed before. It's a brand new idea. Okay, so anybody want to volunteer for these last three questions or last couple of questions? Carolina, would you like to try? Amram? Shambhavi? You don't have to use your camera if you don't want to. I'm not going to force you. Okay. I think maybe some of you are like, but I don't want to use my camera like Chetan. You don't have to use your camera. You can just answer the questions. I'm here to help. Okay. All right. Well, if I don't get any new volunteers, which is okay, then I will answer these and you can simply listen to the way that I answer them with answer, explanation, and example. Okay. So here we go. Okay. Let's talk about discoveries. Here's the first question. Okay. Oh, Abdul says, I'll volunteer. All right, Abdul, let me invite you. I'd always rather have a student than me. I have a pretty good idea, know what I'm doing. Just a sec, Abdul. Let me see what your name is. Abdul Rahman. Okay. All right, Abdul. So here we go. Abdul Rahman, you just got invited. And again, Abdul, you can use your camera if you don't feel comfortable using the camera. You don't have to. Okay. All right. So let's wait for Abdul. Meanwhile, students, you can look at these questions to try to get some ideas of your own. What are some of the most important discoveries for humanity in the last 2 centuries? Are all scientific discoveries a positive for society? And should there be more regulations placed on research? Why or why not? Okay. All right. Abdul, not sure if you're there or not, or if you can or cannot see the invite. By the way, students, if you're having trouble with the invite, maybe try to use a different browser. Okay. All right. Let's see. All the way at the awesome. Resend it. Okay, Abdul, I'll resend it. I'll try to resend it. Abdul Rahman. Okay, Abdul, I just resent it and it looks like the invitation is sent. So let's do this. Here we go. Hopefully you're joining in. Maybe you just switched your browser around. I don't know. All right. If not, it's okay, Abdul. We'll try again. Now, you can, I believe, invite each other as well to discussion. Okay, I believe that's possible, and we'll maybe try that more in the next Lighthall class, where you're actually inviting each other for discussion as well. We'll do some activities. Okay. All right. So let me answer these questions for you just so you get an idea of what a Band 9 finish looks like. So what are some of the most important discoveries for humanity in the last 2 centuries? Well, since the 19th century, there have been several important discoveries made, especially in the field of medical and space science. More specifically, vaccines have been discovered to treat illnesses such as smallpox and measles. As well, man has explored outer space and created incredible communication networks. With satellites. In fact, we are using these discoveries daily to stay healthy and talk on our phones. Okay, so that would be your Band 9 answer for this one. What are some of the most important discoveries for humanity in the last 2 centuries? I picked 2 because it's plural, and last 2 centuries would be 19th and 20th, 21st century. Well, since the 19th century, there have been several important discoveries made, especially in the field of medical and space science. More specifically, vaccines have been discovered to treat illnesses such as smallpox and measles, as well as man has explored outer space and created incredible communication networks with satellites. In fact, we're using these discoveries daily to stay healthy and talk on our phones. Okay, just repeat that. Here's the next one. Are all scientific discoveries a positive for society? I believe that some discoveries are negative for people. A good example of this is nuclear fission, which has been used to create weapons of mass destruction and has led to the loss of many lives. So, no, not all scientific discoveries are good for society. Okay, so here, notice how I finish by using the question again at the end. So I believe that some discoveries are negative for people. A good example of this is nuclear fission, which has been used to create weapons of mass destruction and has led to the loss of many lives. So no, not all scientific discoveries are good for society. Should there be more regulations placed on research? Why or why not? Absolutely. I believe that people must be held responsible for creating more rules and ethics to govern research and experimentation. I think that the recent COVID pandemic likely resulted from a lack of regulations on biological research, which led to the release of dangerous viruses and vaccines into society. Okay. All right. So using context, right? If you think, hey, wait a second, these days there has been a lot of talk about, how we regulate research, especially when it comes to biological research of dangerous pathogens such as COVID, bacteria, so on. You can use that. Okay. All right. And then the examiner will say that is the end of part 3, and that concludes the IELTS speaking section. You will have your mark in 2 days online and your certificate in 10 days in the mail. Goodbye. And then you will say goodbye. Okay. And you get up and go and take a rest. All right. Okay, students, that is a full speaking section interview from start to finish with tons and tons of practice and feedback for everybody. I hope that you enjoyed this special class on Lighthall. It's a little bit different. It's real time. You really have to pay attention. We don't have that 6-second latency. We had lots of people in here, lots of chatter. Thank you to all of our volunteers from around the world, from Krishna, from Chetan, from Tran. So that was awesome that you guys volunteered. The next time that we have Lighthall classes, students, if you wear your pajamas, it's okay. Use your camera, right? Well, I can see what kind of pajamas you have in what parts of the world. But if not, then, wear a shirt so that you can use your camera like Chetan did, because it's kind of fun, okay? Now, A says, but nuclear power is used to power cities. Yes, A, but the question was always a positive. In some ways, yes, but it's also a negative, right? So nuclear fission has been used for positive. It's also used in medical science for positive, but it's also being used for negative. There were so many of you in this class. Tony, I loved having you here. Irby, I loved having you here as well. Okay. We'll have more Lighthall classes. We'll have different styles of Lighthall classes. We've done a few speaking classes, but I'm also planning to do other kinds of classes in Lighthall with writing workshops, reading workshops. So we're going to use Lighthall more and more because it is such a wonderful platform. I hope you liked it. If you have some opinions about Lighthall and how we can make our Lighthall classes even better, please send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com, okay? So I really do welcome any comments that you might have about the Lighthall class to my email. Again, adrian@aehelp.com, okay? And then we can help to make it even better, and that will make your learning even better, okay? On our websites, to get access to our premium IELTS package, you can use the code XR9T for that 25% discount, okay? So that's XR9T. I will be back on our YouTube channel, Academic English Help, on Thursday with more speaking. That will be focusing on speaking part 1 only. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I hope you have a super awesome start to your week. So happy Monday to those of you who are already there or getting into Monday. Chin up, push forward, stay happy. I'm Adrian. I am signing out from beautiful Victoria here in British Columbia. I hope that you all had fun. Bye for now, everyone. Take care.